Welcome everyone. Today you get the opportunity to watch a very special program. We were lucky enough to be the very first television program to bring you access to a very valuable and exclusive car collection. Somewhere in beautiful Florida, there's a building whose address has been classified for security reasons. Behind its doors lies the history of the automobile.
Hi, I'm Ken Baker of Pedigree Motor Cars in Delray Beach, Florida. Welcome to our collection that's featured here today. Our collection consists of about 40 cars. What we see here is our high-end cars, cars that go for the upper 6 figures and 7 figures. In this building, we've got 3 Duesenbergs, 4 Cords, several Rolls-Royce and Bentley product. We also have a V12 Cadillac and a Dietrich body Packard. What I do is I manage this collection. These cars are all available for sale, and we also have a separate division at Pedigree Motor Cars where we sell drivable classics, cars that people can afford easily under $50,000 that they can drive every day. But what we see here today is our more special cars, the cars that are the dream cars, the exotic cars, and the cars that you have to go on a quest to find. This is a collection that took about 40 years to accumulate, and they represent the very best of the best. Each car that's in here is very special. Some of them are cars where there's only 1 or 2 of them ever built. Some of them are multiple award-winning cars from the best shows in the world, Pebble Beach, Philadelphia, and Amelia Island. And we hope you enjoy seeing the collection. In this room, we house 20 of the finest cars in our collection. You're going to see our Duesenbergs, our top Rolls-Royces, some Cadillacs and Cords in here. Let me show you some of the cars that are the highlights of the collection. Every car in here is special, and everybody has their own individual car that's their favorite. This Duesenberg is positioned here for a reason. Of every car here, it's probably the most significant. Years ago, Duesenberg was a featured mark at Pebble Beach. Of the 18 Duesenbergs at Pebble Beach featured, this car was chosen as best in class. This car is all original. And by saying that, I mean it is the original body, original engine, and original interior. It has been restored, but this is close to a 100-point car. Not only has it come in best in its class in Pebble Beach, it has also come in best in its class at Cavallino at Mar-a-Lago that we do once a year. It also has been featured at the Boca Raton Concours. One of the things that we do in the collector car community is we judge at various shows around the country, and we volunteer to help run the Boca Raton Concours. This Duesenberg is not only special because it's the original body and the original engine, but because it's such a special car and it's won so many awards, whenever it goes to a show, the people who have it in the show are always very happy to have the car. It's almost expected that it's going to get some kind of an award because cars like this don't come out very often. It is won best in its class at Pebble Beach when Duesenberg was a featured mark. It has won Grand Marshal Award at the Boca Raton Concours, and it always wins a Sporting or Elegance Award at Mar-a-Lago. We say always because there's so many great cars that come out, but this car is so significant, they're just happy to have the car. The body on this car was done by Murphy. Murphy was one of the coach builders for Duesenberg, and what makes it unique is that where it looks very formal right now, when this top is folded, because it is a 4-door cabriolet, it's streamlined, and the top is flat in the back, and it looks extremely sporty. When you've got that flat roof line with the convertible and the very low windshield, it almost looks like a very sporty, very aggressive looking hot rod from the 30s. This is a great running car. It's very fast for its day, and these cars were the first cars ever made to have 4 valves per cylinder and a self-lubricating chassis. This was the hot rod of the late 20s and early 30s, and it's probably one of the finest Duesenbergs in the country. When you start thinking Duesenberg, you start thinking of all the high profileness of the car, what made it special in the 20s and 30s. This is the bad boy of Duesenberg. Just look at it. It's visually stunning. That red paint is striking. The chrome on the car just screams. This is a car that somebody wanted to get noticed in, and boy did they. This car, there's no bad lines on the car anywhere. It's going to have a striking appearance wherever it goes. It makes a huge visual impact. We've had this car out at a couple of shows, and what happens is there's a crowd around this car. They use this car as a backdrop to photograph. Nobody in a Duesenberg would ever want to be low-keyed, but you've got different levels of being high profile. In its day, this was the most high profile car that there was. And this was kind of the bad boy racer. One of the special things about this car is the body style is called a dual cowl Satan. Dual cowl means two windshields. So you've got one cowling there, and the second cowling is in the back for the rear seat passenger. You've got your second windshield back here. So when you have people in the back seat of the car, these cars would reach a top speed of 137 miles an hour. Somebody could be in the back seat and the top is down, and they're not going to get wind directly in their face because they've got the windshield that's here. And that windshield can be folded, but at that kind of speed, you'd want it up to protect your face. It looks striking when this top is down. But what's nice is when the top is up, it still looks like a closed-in car. It has glass on the side, it has the windshield here, and this is probably the most striking dual cowl paint in Duesenberg history. Some of the cars that are here, we've been on a quest for many years to be able to acquire because it's a one of one. Some of these cars, we would contact the owner of the collection because we hear about it, and when we first approach someone, they don't want to sell the car. But you stay persistent, and eventually they do want to sell the car, and you're able to work it out where you can buy it. One car took 5 years for us to be able to buy. Other cars you hear about coming up for auction, and if it's a car that you're interested in, you go and inspect the car at the auction, and you establish a dollar figure of what you want to pay for the car, and hopefully you end up getting the car. So there's many different ways to acquire cars like this, but we find the best way to buy them is to buy a car that's done. We also find that when you buy the very best quality, that it's also going to give you the best return. There's no bigger mistake than buying a car that's half done or shoddy workmanship. You want what's right, you want it documented, you want to have a car that has rarity to it. We have some cars here that maybe they built one of, or two, or three of, but they're cars that cannot be duplicated very easily.
We'll be right back with more from this unique car collection. We're back with Ken Baker as he explains to us the details behind the cars in this unbelievable collection. Just to remind you, we were the very first television program allowed inside these walls.
This is a 1935 Rolls-Royce Phantom II. Quite an extraordinary car. The body is by Binder, and only 2 of these cars were ever produced. This one is one of the finest Rolls-Royce Phantom IIs in the world. It was invited to Villa d'Este, which is the most exclusive car show really in the world. Only a few cars are hand-selected to go to the show every year. And to go to the show, the cars have to receive a certification in the United States before being shipped to Italy, where the show is held. This car not only was invited there, it did receive its certification. The certification sticker is right here on the windscreen. That'll always stay with the car. It actually enhances its value because it certifies how original the car is and that everything is correct. At Villa d'Este, it won Most Elegant Rolls-Royce, the top prize that this car can win. This car is absolutely fantastic. It is as beautiful mechanically as it is cosmetically. Everything on it is right. Probably one of the most beautiful Rolls-Royces ever created. One of the things about this car and a Rolls-Royce Phantom 2 is that the grille is actually functional. This is a radiator cap. So the Flying Lady will unscrew, and that's where coolant will go into. The grills, or the vanes of the grill, will open and close accordingly to allow air into the engine for it to cool. These headlights are a unique portion of the car. They're part of the stunning visual impact of the front of it. So you've got two very large headlights. These headlights were made specifically for this car and almost irreplaceable. The cost of these headlights might be the same as a small economy car today. In the center is one large driving light for when you're driving down a country lane at night for that extra light that you're going to need. And it looks in sequence and very balanced because it's balanced by two horns on either side. It's quite a stunning visual impact for this car. Everything on this car was designed for its visual appeal and balance. Acquiring cars is actually a job into itself. And when you're looking for a car, like for example the Duesenberg, of the 500 plus cars that were made, no two are exactly the same. So let's say somebody wants to buy a 63 split window Corvette. You decide you want to go buy it, you could find it, and then it's a question of color, is it the options you want, is it the documentation, is it the price? On a Duesenberg, it's a different thing. There's a specific Duesenberg out there that we've been after for years. And we watch for when it comes up on the market. When it comes up on the market, we're going to do our best to get it. But each one is a little bit different. One of the things with these cars is, in the case of the Duesenbergs, is Duesenberg never actually built bodies. They built the engine, they built the chassis and the grille. So the bodies were all built by coach builders. So you can have different Duesenbergs that are the same model on the same year that have completely different styles and values based on the coach builder that built it. A car that has its original body and original engine is going to be worth a lot more money and much more desirable than a car that's been rebodied or a car that's had several different bodies over the years. And that does happen. Now we've got 3 Duesenbergs in the collection. Each one was acquired in a completely different manner. I'm standing between a 1926 Rolls-Royce Silver Ghost Piccadilly Roadster and a 1928 Rolls-Royce Ascot Tourer. These cars were the finest cars in the world of their day. The Rolls-Royce Silver Ghost is legendary. They put Rolls-Royce on the map, covering a 20,000-mile endurance run when there really weren't any roads in 1909. This is towards the end of the Silver Ghost production, where they started to replace them with the Phantoms. This car was the ultimate sporting coupe. This car was owned by high-profile celebrities, movie stars, captains of industry. This is a very rare car, and one that most people would never see in their lifetime. The fact that it was a 2-door convertible made it a very sporty-looking car. It's 1928, goes into the era of The Great Gatsby. In the film that Robert Redford starred in, very similar car to this one. This car is just striking with its yellow paint, its bright chrome, stainless steel grille, very large Spirit of Ecstasy. This was the sporty large car to have. These were great touring cars, they were great limousines, they were very sporty, and one of the finest built cars of their time. One, we were after a collector who owned it, and in order to get this one car, we had to buy a package of other things to get the car. It took a long time to get it put together. Another one we knew of from a local collector, and when he was able to sell it, he called us and we bought the car. We wanted that car. Another one came up for auction. That was actually fairly easy to buy because all the research and all the work is done for you. But getting cars like this is not so easy. It's not like you could just say, okay, I've got X amount of dollars and I just want to go buy one. Buying the wrong car could be a very expensive mistake. Buying the right car is not only very rewarding, but when you go to sell it, could be also very profitable. Car collecting, a lot of people think of it as only a wealthy person's passion and hobby. It does not have to be. You can have a car that is a $10 million car, and you can have a car that is a $20,000 car. It doesn't have to be governed by wealth. First thing that you do with car collecting is you have to establish your budget. So you're going to know what you're going to spend. Even in a car collection where you see multi-million-dollar cars, there's a budget that's established. Whether you're going to go out and spend $2 million on this car, or your budget is for a certain car, and you can say, I want to spend $40,000 on it. So establishing your budget is the first thing. Once you've done that, then you're going to be able to see what you're allowed to buy in that budget. The next thing is you want to find the very best quality within that given mark. Now, we talked about buying a multi-million-dollar car like a Duesenberg or a Rolls-Royce. But let's say your budget is $50,000. Well, you can get into car collecting and you can have a great car. But you want to make sure that you're educated on the mark that you're going to buy, so you know the value, you know what they cost when they're fully restored. You want to buy a car that is done and done properly. And even in the lower end of the price spectrum, you can get one of those cars. It's not that difficult. You just have to set your sights realistically on what your budget is. There's cars out there right now that are very affordable. They're going up in value. For example, a 1980s Porsche, they've gone up 20% plus in the last year. But for $30,000, you can have a great one. You've got a great collectible, you could drive it. Ultimately, you'll make money. In the 1930s, Cadillac was a very special car. Very different from what it is today, where lots of people drive Cadillacs. A Cadillac was a very advanced car and a very sporty car for the chosen few, like this 1931. It features not only beautiful bodywork, but a silky smooth, very powerful V12 engine. This is the pinnacle of American engineering in the early 1930s. But wait till you see what we have coming next.
We're taking a short break. We'll be right back with more of this fabulous collection. We're back from somewhere in South Florida with Ken Baker, a man who was nice enough to allow us inside this top secret car collection, provided we didn't tell anyone where it is.
The key is you don't want to spend $30,000 on one that needs $15,000 of work, because then you're going to be upside down in it, and it never ends. You want to buy one that's been maintained properly, it's got the right documentation, that you don't need to put money into. So that's on one end of the price spectrum. On the other cars like these, you want to make sure that it's been restored properly. One of the things that happens with car collecting is, as these auctions are televised, and there's a lot of energy, there's a lot of excitement, and there's a lot of alcohol, you want to make sure that you stick within your budget. When we go to buy a car, we might have a list of cars that we want to buy, and on each car we've got a maximum that we're going to spend. On this case, it doesn't have to do with the ability to spend, it's what is the value. You don't want to be caught up in the energy of the auction and spend 20, 30% over your budget, because suddenly you're spending too much money and it might be something that's beyond what you can afford or over the car's value. Now, when you buy, you have to look at two things. One is, what's your purpose for the car? Are you going to buy the car for resale, or are you going to buy the car for your collection? If you're going to buy the car for your collection and you're planning on keeping it, then you're buying with your passion. You're buying with your heart as well as your wallet. You could go a little bit more, but you still want to keep it realistic. Nobody wants to go spend 50% more for something than it's worth, whether it's a piece of furniture or it's a car. So you want to maintain your budget, you want to know the value of what you're buying, and you want to know that what you're buying is as it's represented. It's very important, because you can have a car that looks beautiful, but there's shoddy workmanship underneath that beautiful paint. You want to know that the mechanical aspect of its restoration was done to the same high quality as the paint that you're looking at. Cord offered a variety of body styles. These are all 810 model Cords. We have this one, the SC, that's a 4-passenger. The Winchester sedan was the ultimate sporting sedan. And over here, we have the convertible. This 2-seater convertible was the ultimate Playboy car, with its concealed headlights, rounded fenders, supercharged engine, front-wheel drive, 2-seater configuration with an aluminum engine-turned dashboard. This was the car to be seen in. Very far ahead of its time, as it was a huge leap from the traditional 1930 styling to what is almost modern styling of today. You're going to have fun driving in 1937. There's nothing like driving a Cord 810. Just look at this interior. A beautiful engine-turned dashboard, all handcrafted. And this was your gear lever. Normally, you would have a big stick shift, because remember, in this time, we didn't have automatic transmissions. It wasn't invented yet. So this was your gear lever. It was very easy to drive this car, although it did have a traditional clutch. You would hand select your lever with your finger, lift off the gas, push in on the clutch, and move this to the next gear. Put your foot back on the accelerator again. All very easy without taking your hand off of the steering wheel. The levers over here are very simple. Choke to start it, fuel to the fuel system, instrument lights to go on, and exterior lights to go on. These cars also had wind-up windows. A lot of cars then had curtain windows. This actually can be completely closed off from the outside elements. But what a great looking car and a great way to drive. Could you imagine in 1937 taking this on an open country road for a Sunday drive? It looks like something that could just be a complete joy. Today, these are wonderful cars to drive. They're great touring cars, and they're great cars to take on a road rally. After you drove your Accord, you would never do what I'm doing right now. These are actually working and functional exhaust pipes. They would get very hot. In the 50s and 60s and 70s, we saw a lot of manufacturers add these on retro cars for a styling element. They were all modeled after this car, where the exhaust actually came out. Makes it look quite sporty and quite a beautiful visual impact. They're very functional for the car as well. When Rolls-Royce and Bentley split up several years ago, there was a collection that we were able to buy out of the Rolls-Royce factory in Crewe, England. From that, we got a lot of the original molds for the Flying Lady. These are things that are never for sale. You can't go out and buy them because they were used as tools in the factory. So we have all the original molds for the Flying Lady. We also have all of the badges that went on the back of all of the modern day Rolls-Royce and Bentley. We've got one of each. We see here two different generations of design. This 1929 Accord L29 was very traditional in its design element. However, engineering-wise, a very advanced car. A few short years later, in 1937, Accord took a dramatic leap forward in car design with these 810. A completely different design element, and they were a leader in car design, or so they tried to be. Accord was very advanced for its time, and far more advanced than any other car company, or should we say, way ahead of their time. It's almost hard to believe that these cars are 8 years apart. They almost look like they're 20 or 30 years apart. These were American-built cars, and the American cars of their time were the leaders in the automobile industry. There were a few select European manufacturers that were great cars. For the most part, it was the Americans that led the industry. Again, the old traditional design into the brand new, much more modern design that became adopted many years later by other manufacturers. If you're a Rolls-Royce enthusiast, this is a car that you want to pay attention to. This is a very special car and extraordinarily rare. This is a Rolls-Royce Phantom 6, and it's one of the last ones ever made. Believe it or not, this car was built in 1982. These are cars that were made styled in the 50s and 60s, but they continued making a few of these cars a year for a very select few clients. These cars cost close to $1 million to build. Rolls-Royce lost money on them. They used all of the old world craftsmanship for manufacturing. Hand-beaten panels, completely handcrafted interior, and they would take about 9 months to produce each one. This car has 1,200 miles on it. It's hardly ever been used. It is as close to a brand new Phantom 6 as you can find anywhere. Probably the lowest mileage Phantom 6 in the world. We have never seen another one with lower mileage. It is in absolutely stunning condition. It's black over burgundy paint, very traditional for this car, used by royalty, and it drives like it looks, like a new car. These were the cars for kings, diplomats, for royalty of their day. Let me show you the heart of this car. Rarely in Rolls-Royce do we talk about the engines, we talk about its craftsmanship and its beauty. But just look at the engine in this car. Absolutely stunning. This car is a fully restored car, and if you look inside the engine today, it looks exactly the way it did when the first owner took delivery in 1982. Sitting in the back of this Phantom 6, you feel like royalty. First off, when you sit up in the back of these cars, you sit up high. You actually sit up higher than the driver. So when you're looking through the front windscreen, you can see the Flying Lady in full view, and you actually are looking down towards her. You're sitting much higher than you would in any other normal car. Now, if it looks like I'm lounging like royalty, it's exactly how it feels.
Unfortunately, that's all we have time for. but at least we had the great opportunity of seeing an amazing car collection that's only been seen by a handful of individuals. Thanks very much for watching. We'll see you guys next time.